I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, real quick, yes, he has changed through the years. He definitely has changed through the years. And to be quite honest with you, he's still not on track with what Christians need. Okay, Christians need it totally abolished. Okay. Abortion needs to be totally abolished, okay? It needs to be gone, 100%, and there has to be equal rights for everybody involved, okay? Everybody involved. But the point is that what are we doing with the guilty party? What are we doing with the guilty party? That's where both sides are very corrupt, and they're going to be like, okay, well, I want it 6 weeks, or I want it 1 week. But the point is that at the moment of conception, okay, this is a fact, okay, it's a fact, it's a scientific fact, okay, that with the moment of conception, that baby is a baby, okay. Quit saying fetus, because why are we speaking Latin? Okay, stop speaking Latin. The Latin word for baby is fetus, okay? So whenever you say fetus, you really mean baby. So let's just stick to it, okay? It's a baby, all right? It's a baby. So whenever the moment of conception, okay, that baby is a unique, okay, human being, okay? And it deserves rights, and that's what we're fighting for. So let's go. Let's see what Trump has to say.
The reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan.
That is the issue. That's the issue right there. That's the issue. Because now, instead of making it the rule, you're looking at the exception of the rule and you're making it the rule. You're looking at the exception of the rule rather than looking at the rule, okay? If somebody gets raped, that's a horrible tragedy. I get it, right? I get it. That's a horrible tragedy, okay? And I am all for, man, you need to go execute that guy. Whoever did it needs to be executed on the spot. Put him through the death penalty. That's it, right? That he surrenders his life to live, okay? That's it. However, what do you do from that point on? Do you punish the baby for the wrongdoing of the man? Or do you keep that baby because that baby is very it's its own person. It's very valuable, okay? It's a human being, okay? It's a human being, not just a clump of cells. It's a human being. That's the issue I have with Donald Trump right here with the abortion. Now, we can talk all day about my problems with Kamala Harris, and we'll get to that. But I think this is very vital right here, And the point is that he's trying to put it in the states, which is what Roe v. Wade was that it was putting the states in control, okay, which I think is still bad. I still think that's not the right way to go. I still think that's not the right way to go because, again, we're trying to get it completely abolished as Christians. And you should. If you're a Christian, you should. All right? So let's continue. That's my problem with Trump here on this issue.
Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
Now, see, there you go. Like that right there, that was a win. Essentially, that was a win technically when it comes to abortion and trying to abolish it for good, okay? That was some sort of a win if we can look at the positives, okay, of trying to save the unborn, okay, and the fatherless, right? Which is what the Bible says to, be there for the fatherless, the homeless, all that. So the thing is when it comes down to it, when it really comes down to it, is that Roe v. Wade being overturned was a positive to an extent. Okay, to an extent. What do we do afterwards? That was not the rule. Okay, that's not law. Okay, it was never law. So the problem is that now we're looking at it like this. Yes, the states have full control. That's not ultimately a win. We should not stop there. That's not the stopping point. That's nowhere near the stopping point because, again, as a Christian, as Christians, if you claim to be a follower of Christ, you have to hate abortion. Hate it. Now, there are certain things that are being called abortion, and that's not abortion, okay? Like, certain things where there's huge complications and, basically... when the baby is born or is growing in the tube and not in the uterus, like the baby's dead already, like go ahead and get it out of there. You know what I mean? Like that's not an abortion, okay? Me and my wife, we had a miscarriage, right? They called that an abortion because they had to go in there and get the baby out. They called that an abortion. That's not an abortion. That's not at all an abortion. That's not what we define as an abortion. An abortion is you willfully taking the life of a child. That's what an abortion is. When the baby with conception, as soon as the moment of conception, that baby is a baby, okay, and it needs rights. It has to have equal rights. And if you claim to be a follower of Christ, you have to come to that conclusion. You must. And I'll show you in just a minute in the Bible what it says about it. But let's go.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam,
they did this throughout the debate. Now, we're not talking about how bad the debate was, because the debate from all parties, Kamala, Trump, both of them were really bad. But a moderator should not be inputting. It should not be an input when it comes to you and whoever's moderating. They should have zero opinion. So when they're going back at Trump saying, well, actually, no, you're wrong. Now you would cut your mic. Now go to Kamala. It's unfair and it should not be happening, but we're not talking about that. Let's continue. Let's see what Kamala Harris has to say. Now, we disagree with Trump here. If you're a Christian, then you disagree with Trump here.
Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime, a violation to their body.
Oh, here we go. You're pulling on the heartstrings, Kamala. Like, why don't you get to the actual thing? Why don't you stop pulling on the heartstrings and let's get to the actual point, okay? We're not trying to... you see what she did? She looked directly into the screen and was talking to you, like pulling on your heartstrings because she's trying to get the majority vote when it comes to women. That's not what it's about, Kamala. It's not about pulling on the heartstrings. What is the real issue here? Are you murdering a child? It doesn't matter if you were raped, if it was incest. It doesn't matter. What matters is that that child is a child. And according to God's law, which we will get to in just a minute, according to God's law, that is murder. So, yes, it should be criminalized. It should, in fact, be criminalized for the doctor, for whoever else does it involved, to everybody that's involved. The parents, the dad, right? Even if it wasn't incest, even if it is a healthy baby and they just, both of the parents don't want the baby, so they go and get it murdered. It's the same exact thing. It's the same outcome, okay? Stop pulling on the heartstrings. Let's get down to it. But she won't do that, okay? Because she wants to pull on the heartstrings of all the women. And, of course, that's unfortunately probably going to happen. It's probably going to be successful. Let's go.
Body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral.
So if that's immoral, then you taking a baby and you doing what you want to with the babies, what should be their right as their own body, you're going in there and you're ripping it apart, literally ripping the baby's body apart. Now, I'm not trying to pull on the heartstrings here. I'm just telling you what it is. This is what an abortion is. That's what they do. So you're literally tearing the baby limb from limb, and you call that moral? You're saying that you have no right to say to that woman that she has no right over her body, but yet you can say that the baby has no right over their body. Is that correct? How is that moral? Right. How's that moral? I would love to ask that question, man. And they wouldn't know, and neither one would know what to say with that. And that's the scary part.
And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you.
So, yeah, you don't want that, but, you know the old saying, right? 2 wrongs don't make a right. So are you punishing that child by ending its life without it having any say-so whatsoever over its own body? Now you're going to execute that child no matter what it is. If it's first, second, third trimester, it doesn't matter. To the moment of conception, that baby is a living child, okay, and it deserves rights. That's the point. And if you go and have an abortion, an actual abortion, what an actual abortion is, then yes, you deserve to be punished by the death penalty, not locked up in prison for life. Okay, that's not biblical. The biblical thing is if you murder, which we'll look at in just a minute, if you murder, you deserve the death penalty. Period. That's it. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Anyway, let's go.
When Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank
Okay, so oh wait, real quick.
you, Vice President Harris.
Yeah, did you see how she didn't try to, push her belief system on her? Yeah, it's because it was just bias. It was a biased performance by all parties, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So two things here. So Kamala said that now we've already exercised our disagreement. We've already showed our disagreement with Trump. Okay, he's corrupt as well. Okay, because just what one of the things that Kamala said was that Trump, if he gets put in, then it would be a national abortion ban. That's a lie. That's untrue. That would not be able to happen. Why? Because both parties, okay, pro-life and pro-abortion, okay, pro-choice, pro-life, are on the same page when it comes to women not being executed or women not being criminalized. It would not be the right move, period. Period. And he just told you that he understands about the rape and incest. So here's the thing. You wasn't listening, Kamala. You just, point blank, you was not listening, okay? Trump literally just said, okay, that he agrees with the exception about rape and incest. He agrees with that. So why, see, that was the whole point about the pulling on the heartstrings. It's not about what's true. It's not about what's moral. It's about what you want. It's about the majority vote. That's all it is. It's the majority vote, okay? And whatever side is the majority, that's where you lean, okay? That's politics 101, okay? So here's the thing. So that's the first thing, okay, that she lied about Trump like that. But the thing is the second thing is, and what's really eating me alive, is that she said that you don't have to give up your faith to agree with her. You don't have to give up your faith to agree with her. Yes, in fact, you do. Okay, you absolutely do. Now, let's go to it real quick. Let's look at what God has to say about this. And I know this is probably when you start turning off and flipping off and everything, because nobody cares about what God has to say anymore. But this is what God has to say. Even Christians don't care about what God has to say. But let's go. That's what it says right here. In Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16 and 17. There are 6 things that God hates, 7 that are an abomination to him. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue. One of those has already been done in this. It's always a lying tongue. And hands that shed innocent blood. Hands that shed innocent blood. So God hates, and it's an abomination to him, hands that shed innocent blood. What happens when an abortion happens? An actual abortion. Not that a baby's growing in the tube. No. If it's an actual abortion, if it's a healthy baby and you just want to go in there and get rid of it, and you're trying to throw in the exception of the rule to make it the rule, it's an exception to the rule. It's not the rule. It shouldn't be anyway. So the rape and incest is like it's like less than 1% of all abortions are because of rape and incest. And even then, in my opinion, it's not. The baby is still innocent. So you're shedding, hands that shed innocent blood. God hates that. And it's an abomination in his eyes. But what do you do with that abomination, though? What do you do if that happens? This is what you do. Okay, right here. Exodus chapter 21, verse 12. Okay, that's what it says. Whoever strikes a man so that he dies shall be put to death. But if he did not lie in wait for him, and God let him fall into his hand in accident, then I will appoint you for you a place which he may flee. Which, in modern terms, that could be prison. Okay, but that's for an accidental murder. But if a man willfully attacks another to kill him by cunning, you shall take him from my altar, and he may die. Now, this is the death penalty. This happens to murder, okay? This happens with murder, all right? So, whoever strikes a man, doesn't matter, man, male, female, whatever. The Bible's not always clear on that. It's mostly just he or him or a man or anything else. But it could be talking about both sides. It doesn't really matter. Okay, here's what it says: whoever strikes a man so that he dies shall be put to death. What it says is if you murder somebody, what is one of the Ten Commandments? Thou shalt not murder. Okay, so if you murder, then you are executed. You surrender your right to live. Okay, so the two main issues here, okay, the two main things is that not issues, but the two main things, the two main statements that God just said, okay, is that if you take a life, then you give your life, okay, or it will be taken from you, okay? And then the second thing is 6 things that God hates. 7 are an abomination, and one of those 7 things is shedding of innocent blood. God hates that, and it's an abomination to him. So even if you take Exodus 21 and verse 12, and you take that and say, well, that's actually talking about something else. God says that taking or shedding the blood of an innocent person, which is a baby, then God hates that. Okay? And God will not put up with that. And if it is that you shall not murder, then the same exception, or not exception, but the same ruling would happen to you. The same concept would happen to you. If you take this person's life, then you give yours up. So yes, if a mother or if a father or anybody involved, the doctor, all of them, the nurses, if any of them are involved in the abortion, then the government, a righteous government, which we don't have right now, but a righteous government, they shall be executed under God's law. So, if you don't like it, take it up with God, but that's what God says. Anyway, look, love your neighbor as you love yourselves, correct? But what's the first one over that? Love God first. Love him with all of your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, and with all your strength. So put him first, put his words first, and then what's the outcome for that? So if I love my neighbor, if I love that child is my neighbor. If I love that child, how am I loving that child as I love myself? I am giving that child rights that I have. Okay? I'm giving that baby my rights. And that is rights to not murder. No matter the circumstances. No matter rape or incest. That does not matter. What matters is, and yes, go execute that guy that just laid his hands on that woman. Do it. Okay, do that. However, when it comes to abortion, everybody that's involved, if they shed that innocent blood, then they are to die. All right, like, subscribe, do all that great stuff, and that is exactly what us as Christians, I think we should lean on the side of Republican, obviously, when it comes to Trump, because that's the closest we've got. That's the closest we've got. But it's still not enough. It's still not enough, and we should continue to fight for the abortion rights. We should continue to fight for the baby's rights. Okay? We should continue to fight for the baby's rights. Okay? So Love you guys, and I'll see y'all next one. Peace.